Good evening, everybody. It's time for another edition of the Chris Brecht State Farm Insurance Coaches Show. And once again, here's Coach Rocco Dobran. Coach, week 2. Good to have you with us.
Glad to be here.
Hey, and I texted you earlier just to confirm the time where we could get together, and I think it was spell check or whatever, but your initial response was weep. And I was thinking, hey, I was there. I was in Leavittsburg, man. I'm here for you.
Definitely a spell check, but yeah, it kind of fit the atmosphere.
Yeah, and then you responded yes. So looking back, week 1 didn't go the way you wanted to, but you said it very accurately. It could very well be, and no disrespect meant for Wilmington or anybody, but that could be the best team you face all year.
Absolutely. I mean, who knows at this point? It's week 1 early, but they are definitely a very solid team, and I can see them doing very well the rest of the season.
Yeah, in fact, when I was talking to Todd Rowe, and I think I mentioned that to you, he's the athletic director at LeBray High School for the LeBray Vikings, and he mentioned, too, that they expect to be able to do very well, if not run the table this year. Lakeview, Ohio, and Girard, Ohio are going to be in their way, they think, out of their league, but they probably got a lot of pieces that you need in order to get it done. Their quarterback in Kent Wolford was a pretty talented quarterback.
Absolutely. He was very, he stood in the pocket, very calm, threw some nice balls. They had some good receivers to throw to.
I'll say.
Some D1 prospects,
Yeah.
So they, again, they're a very solid team, and, I wish them the best of luck the rest of the year.
Absolutely. And the prospects you're talking about he was throwing to, Tyler Stevens is the 6'5", 210 tight end that has signed a letter of intent for Buffalo.
Yeah, that's what they said. So
University of Buffalo.
That's pretty impressive.
It is. And he looked like it, too.
Yes, absolutely.
I'd want to sign the kid up, too.
Yeah, he was a man amongst boys out there. So
Yeah, it really was. I agree. The other one was a wide receiver, Walt Alley. I think he also was probably a prospect they're looking at.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they said. I don't know where he's, I don't think he's committed anywhere yet, but they said he's definitely getting a couple of looks. So
another big kid, 6'3", 180 pounds. But and then they just played tough off the defense too as well. They showed ability to penetrate quite a bit, and very good football team. So with that lesson, it's not the lesson you would have chosen, but you take what you get, right? And out of that, you think the guys maybe found out what it's like to go up against a really good football team.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it humbles you a little bit. You go and expect to do at least better than that, at least compete, and you have a game like that, and it humbles you, and it makes you look twice at kind of like, what are we doing, and how's it going with that. So, but I don't think they're too upset about it. I think that at the end of the day, they wanted to do better, but they know that hey, this team's a really good team, and if anything, they got better from playing a good team because the game was so fast paced because they played a really good team. Hopefully that some of these other teams we play, that it's a slower pace because they're not as good. So yeah. I said ultimately, as long as they take away lessons from what happened, it's only going to be a learning lesson. It's just going to make us better.
Right. So. I think a big part of it too was, of course, you had some problems when Osborne, that you mentioned, it was going to be your starting center, broke his leg, and you had some problems at the snap, but they did too. But the time of possession, I think they just had the ball too much.
Absolutely.
It was a problem.
Yeah, we couldn't get the ball moving on offense, and ultimately our defense gave up big plays, and other than that, they played fairly well.
They did.
I know that it doesn't look like it, but when you're on the field the whole game,
right.
They gave up big plays here and there, but LeBray definitely punted more than they have in the past, and they didn't have steady drives. Right. It was more big plays. In that, it was a tribute to the defense, and again, the defense gave up a lot of points because the offense couldn't get first downs and that kind of thing. And so again, we learned from that, and we coached little things that we needed to coach, and we made some changes on the offensive line right before the game. And obviously that doesn't help. It's just that's what happens with injuries sometimes. So you can't make it as an excuse. You just got to do the best you can and move on. Yeah.
So I thought they did a pretty good job against Colton Stoneman, who's their workhorse running back. They were doing a fairly good job at the beginning of the game. It was pretty close, except they were able to move the ball a little more than we were.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then their freshman standout, they claim as their future of their team, Devin Carter, also got some luck out there too as well. But it was just not being able to move the ball that well was the problem. But they played fairly clean, didn't fumble.
No.
I mean, both teams had a pretty clean game that way. That many turnovers.
Yeah, I think we got one turnover, and then I think we threw one turnover. We threw one, and it was a great play by them. and then and us same thing. So
yeah, well, it's the kind of thing where you take it, and we've had that before in the past. That happened a couple of years ago where you lost LeBray and then went on and did very well in the PIAA. So
absolutely,
we have another game here to set up, which is a team that you haven't faced before, I don't think, out of Cleveland, John Adams High School.
No, first time.
The Rebels, they call them, or something.
Yes.
Athletic team. When I'm looking them up, as you said, they're a pretty athletic team. They seem like they're able to do a lot of things, but for whatever reason, they just don't end up with a win.
Yeah, we only got one game film from them so far, week one, and so it's hard to tell ultimately, but they're very good size-wise. They're a big team. They got some big linemen, and they got some very skilled athletes. They're fast. They can run. So, that's something that we're going to have to keep up with and kind of contain their quarterback. He's a fast little scatty runner. And
that'd be Robert Ramsey, I think you're talking
about. So, he's hard to get it. It's hard to get your hands on him. He's that type of kid where he just kind of scrambles, runs around, throws the ball up.
Good arm too.
Yeah, and they got a tall receiver, number 8. I'm not sure his name, but they hit a couple slants to him.
Tremont Luke, I think is it.
Yeah, Tremont Luke. So he's a good receiver, and then number 24 is our tailback, who's got lightning speed.
Deshaun Brown, I think his name was there. Yeah, him and that Allen Davis Jr. A couple of tough defensive backs, and he also runs the ball well.
Absolutely.
Too. But they're tough in the defensive back.
And they are. And they're going to hit you. They're going to come and they're going to hit you. I think we're in the game we saw where they it's the same as we had, same problems we had. We saw a lot of mistakes, whether it was with special teams, whether it was they had a lot of bad snaps also like we did last week. So I think it's one of them games where we just have to capitalize. We have to beat them in the special teams game, right. Be more organized than them, and we have to beat them in the turnover game and just capitalize on their mistakes and hope for some bad snaps, force some bad snaps, and capitalize on those types of things, and then kind of try to use their speed to our advantage. Get them flowing one way and come back the other way, that type of thing.
Right. I noticed something too from watching their film. Seemed like the quarterback Robert Ramsey tries to send a lot of guys deep, and then he likes to take off running.
Yeah.
And usually right up the middle.
Yeah.
If he sees a hole or a seam or something, he'll take it.
Right. He definitely will, for sure.
So that's and that's something to look out for. But it looks like if you guys play together, you can limit them or whatever. You can do very well.
And I think it's one of them games that at least we're hoping, to be able to contain them and hold them, and we just know it's a reality that they might get a big player too. We just got to limit it to a big player too, and not a whole bunch. And then we got to keep our consistency on offense and get the ball rolling. So.
Yeah, of course, kickoff's coming up at 7 o'clock here tonight. Any final thoughts on this week of practice and what kind of things you worked on at all? Or
we try to get a good mix of both quarterbacks in there this week, and we had to battle the heat a little bit, but I think that's just good for mental toughness with the kids. It's a good mental toughness thing. So, but other than that, I think the kids they're in good spirits, and like I said, after getting humbled a little bit last week, I think they got their minds right. So,
well, it'll be nice to be back at Joslyn Field for the home opener. And we'll be up there in the University Hospital broadcast booth. And looking forward to the Spartans pulling out a home opener victory.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
Thanks for stopping in, Coach, and all the best of luck tonight.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
This has been another edition of the Chris Brecht State Farm Insurance Coaches Show on 1360 WOW.